Hi, welcome to
Questionable Logic,
and today we'll be talking about
the top 10 overrated anime.
So, before we start, I'd just like to say this video may contain spoilers, so if you wish to pause the video, please do so now, and if you wish to continue on, please do so at your own risk.
Now, our list today starts off with Sword Art Online. Now, Sword Art Online is an RPG isekai anime, and it revolves around the characters of Kirito and Asuna. Kirito's character in general is unlikable, yet like the way he treats other characters in the game. At the time he sends a party to their demise. It feels like Kirito plays the game for his own sake. He doesn't want to invest time in others, except for Asuna. Now, Kirito having god tier powers or being maxed out is just a huge disparity to the other gamers. Another point I don't like is Asuna being the weak female lead. Even though the thing about her is she's one of the strongest characters in the game. The anime sort of seems to forget about that as Kirito bail her out of situations. Also, their weak romance. It developed quite quickly, maybe a bit too quick. And because of that, it seems the relationship, which spawned out them fighting different creatures on different floors. And whenever we're introduced to new villains of different arcs, we seem to be reminded that Asuna and Kirito are indeed in a relationship. Another point I don't really like is the slow pacing of the show. When it comes to general plot, it takes time for the show to move on from a place of a character. It takes so long for the story to get back to its main point, which is to reach the last level of the game. Now to the next point, which is Pokemon.
So, why is Pokemon overrated? Well, for a variety of reasons, stretching from as far as its repetitive plot to its ongoing rehashes. Pokemon may be a hit, RPG video game series, but, as far as the anime, is concerned, it's not really a hit. And it has a significant amount of problems, such as the bland, repetitive plots, non-relevant, annoying side characters, no character growth whatsoever, and bad animation and rehash / overused Pokemon, and that's just because, they can't be bothered to make new ones. So if you want to have a successful anime to coexist along with your game, then at least make an interesting plot to go along with that. Think of other successful anime-based games like Dragon Quest or Castlevania. They're both based on games, and yet they both have a unique and interesting plot which makes their anime overall enjoyable and refreshing. Side characters themselves aren't really essential. And, Pokemon really badly tries to deny that fact by, making them relevant, and yet, still, they're not actually involved in the overall story. Now, in terms of character growth, they have completely avoided the topic itself, which is, for sales purposes or greed. They made Ash exactly the same age he's always been, since the first episode. If they wanted the anime to do a bit better in terms of, storytelling and, plot, they should at least age the characters as the show has gone on, because that would show that he's grown and they've grown in a number of ways since, the first episode. And bad animation is another thing I should mention. And in this case, it's only a brief term for the absolute nightmare that the anime has become since, its first season, where it was okay. What was a fair mediocre style of animation for the characters, and the show, has now completely diverged into what can only be referred to as absolute garbage. To summarize, if you can't have good animation, somewhat of a plot, and are using a show just to target the people who buy your products, then it's not really considered an anime, let alone a good one. Bleach.
Now, Bleach is an anime that revolves around the main character, Ichigo, and it's just basically an anime of a zero to hero. My thoughts on why Bleach is overrated is just how the show ended. Near the end of the show, Bleach was filled with filler episodes, filler arcs. The studio that produced Bleach really seemed to milk the anime for every yen possible, leaving a bit of a sour note on a great show. And I'm glad the show is getting its ending but comes back this year. Now on to our next topic, which is Black Clover. Now, Black Clover revolves around the main character Asta and his journey to become the Wizard King. My thoughts on why Black Clover is overrated is the episode pacing of the show. It feels like the arcs are dragged out, and the important fight scenes take a long time to get to. Of this show, you also get a decent amount of filler episodes, filler arcs, but what bothered me with Black Clover is that the studio forgot they put aside its budget for one of the most important moments for Asta's character, where he changes into his demon form for the first time and the fight that comes afterwards. This was an important scene. For it to be so poorly animated was disappointing. It was a chance for the studio to show us Asta's demon form, and for us to give us Asta, the only non-magical person in the Clover Kingdom, finally having some power. We eventually get to see a good fight scene with Asta's demon form in Fight for the Elves, but the studio missed a huge, good chance for first impression. This anime suffers from poor animation quite often. On to the next topic, Tokyo Ghoul.
So, why is Tokyo Ghoul overrated? Well, to put it bluntly, it has an uncomplicated plot, shit protagonist, annoying and pointless filler, and season 3. Tokyo Ghoul's plot isn't complicated at all, because, let's face it, the main character wants to help clean up the image of ghouls by putting a stop to bad ghouls reform, and those who want to stop it reform and often become ghouls themselves. It's not boring, it's just repetitive and bland. The protagonist, Ken Kaneki, is shit for a variety of reasons. Such as not actually doing anything until the end of the first season, having non-significant multiple personalities, making indecisive decisions in problematic situations, showing no remorse to the decisions he's made and those who it's affected, such as his best friend, for example. Having a few filler episodes sometimes is okay, because, it acts as a break for the mangaka, and sometimes, it can't be exactly all bad. But in this case, it's just terrible, because, it's a whole season, and, most fans, dislike filler anyway. So if you make a whole season about filler, how did you think the fans were going to react? Now, overrated is often a misused term by those who haven't actually watched, the anime, and they're just basing an observation off a trailer or others' thoughts. In this case, since I've watched the anime, it can be said that Tokyo Ghoul is overrated. No way how you look at it. My Hero Academia.
Now, with My Hero Academia, it revolves around the main character, Izuku Midoriya, Deku, and his journey to become a pro hero. I have many thoughts on why this show is overrated. I could talk about every flaw this anime has, without décolleté, so I'm just going to name a few. My first thought with Deku is the main character. Deku is the most knowledgeable person in the show. He knows his traits and abilities in pro heroes and classmates in a way that no other character in the show does. And for all his knowledge that Deku seems to have, is unable to translate it to himself, unable to be a hero, nor to use it to help to bring out the best in his classmates. My second flaw with Deku is his resolve to being a hero. He is given the most powerful quirk by the number one hero All Might, yet he does not seem to want to use this quirk to his full potential. It's not that he's unable. All Might used to be quirkless before being passed down one for all, and it was due to his endless training and resolve needed to master this quirk that All Might became the number one hero. Deku just seems to be happy to have this power, and doesn't seem to want to push himself like All Might. My third flaw of this show is its lack of a strong female character. By this I mean a female character who is relevant to the plot, and the only character that seems to fit this bill is Nana Shimura, the previous owner of One For All. She was important to All Might as a mentor, and she's important to Deku as one of the masters for One For All, and the fact that she is Shigaraki's grandmother. Though a female character in this anime has this type of significance to the plot of My Hero Academia. Now, the pacing of the show is another flaw. It's just terrible. A lot of things happen to the students in 1A, and yet, the class is still first year students, despite numerous training montages, classroom studies, clashes with villains, and the fact that all of 1A now have the pro hero licenses. With the pace the anime is going, What will be the point of a 1-ish student still attending UA Academy when Shigaraki will eventually be defeated? Now with Danmachi, it revolves around the main character, Belle Cornell, and his adventures in a dungeon. Now why this show is overrated, because it has all the traits of a bad isekai, from the bad harems, with non-observant major character that gets fostered anytime there's advance from a female character, the fact that Belle Cornell is too overpowered, and his ability to speed up his growth as long as his feelings remain. It's a bit insulting to the high-level characters the fact to get stronger and level up the long way, like the Sword Princess. One thing I like about the show is how the gods interfere with it. That's one point I do like about it. Now on to the next topic, Another. Now with Another, it revolves around the class of 3-3 in Yomiyama North Middle School. Now for this show, I've read the manga and I've watched the anime. Now why the show is overrated is simply how it's so different from the manga. The manga is short, sweet, horror, and the plot leaves the reader not knowing who caused the curse on class 3-3 till the very end. The anime has different character designs, and when a character dies in the anime, it feels so over-dramatized, and sometimes just plain laughable. Now what the anime did to the show in the end is just unforgivable. That changed the ending from who is it, who's behind it, is causing this curse, to a complete and utter bloodbath. Maybe the material is lacking, but we just can't change the story. Now on to the next topic, Danganronpa, Future and Hope. Now, Danganronpa, Future and Hope, aka Season 2 and 3 of the show. What was the point of these shows? Now, Future itself is overrated, as it takes a lot of the themes from the first season without having any growth for the show itself. Future has a lot of pointless deaths that could simply be avoided with just the characters working together. Hope is a lost cause. As the predecessor to the Danganronpa series, Hope needs to have a good explanation for Danganronpa as a whole to exist. Hope fails to give a good explanation for the clash of Hope versus Despair to even exist in the first place. Now, compared to the first season, which I enjoyed, I thought the plot was entertaining in the sense that who was behind it all was not revealed to the last episode, and the ideals of Hope versus Despair had some sustenance when the characters were forced to choose between them. Now, on to the next topic, Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Neon Genesis Evangelion is overrated for a variety of reasons, such as underdeveloped characters, inconsistent story, and most of all, its annoying protagonist. Most characters of the anime were in fact interesting, but not well developed in the sense of them being, realistic. So, they were more one-noted in the sense of them portraying one trait, and that being their defining trait. Take Shinji, for instance. He's depressed and rebels against his father, and that's all there really is to his entire character. Another note to mention is when they, reacted to things going on, it never really felt like, they were being realistic or how we'd react in those situations. The story itself was very inconsistent because it went from being about Shinji to monsters versus humanity to dealing with personal issues and overall making a choice to determine the fate of the entire planet. Having an annoying protagonist such as Shinji, this negatively impacted the overall anime because, for many it was a turn-off, and, although he had issues which were relatable, he took them to the extreme, to the point when he had to make crucial decisions and just ignored them, Overall, it's not a bad show, it's just over-applauded for most of its flaws, which, if let's be honest, shouldn't be something it's used for its selling points, which is why it's overrated.